Hi, my name is Esther Fisher. I'm teaching here in June the program for college students, and I'll be saying a few words about Parashat Terumah. So in this parasha we find a detailed description of the Klei Mishkan, the various utensils of the Mishkan. And many times in these kind of parashot we ask ourselves, in what way is this relevant to our lives today? Of course, besides the historical aspect of memory and remembering what was, what can these utensils, these kelim, mean for us here and now in a post-Mikdashic era? What I want to show shortly is that this question was actually not only asked by us, but even by our rabbis of the Talmud, who, as we are, lived in a post-Mikdashic era and had the same question themselves. So the utensil, the Kli Mikdash that we're going to be looking at today is the Shulchan Lechem HaPanim. The pasuk says the following: Va'asita shulchan atzei shitim, v'natata ala shulchan lechem hapanim lechem panim lefanai tamid. You shall make a table of wood, and then later on, and on the table you should set the bread of display to be before me continually. The Mishnah in Masechet Menachot gives a more detailed description of what exactly was done with this table and this bread of display, lechem hapanim. And the Mishnah says the following: ארבעה כהנים נכנסים, שניים בידם שני סדרים ושניים בידם שני בזיחים, וארבעה מקדימים לפניהם, שניים ליטול שני סדרים ושניים ליטול שני בזיחים. 4 priests went in, 2 carried in their hands the 2 rows, 2 carried in their hands the 2 dishes, and 4 preceded them. And it continues: המכניסים עומדים בצפון ופניהם לדרום, המוציאים עומדים בדרום ופניהם לצפון. Those who brought them in stood at the north side with their faces to the south. Those who took them away stood at the south side with their faces to the north. This is a description of how the exchange of the bread was done every day in the Mikdash. The old bread was taken out and the new bread was put in. And the Mishnah continues to give an exact description of how this was done. Elu moshchim ve'elu manichim. ותפחו של זה כנגד תפחו של זה, שנאמר לפני תמיד. These withdrew, and those laid down, the handbreadth of the one matching the handbreadth of the other, thus before me always, or before me continually. So this description of the procedure is actually very interesting and very, very exact. The removing of the old and the inserting of the new was done in an exact way so that the table would not be without the bread even for one moment, thus maintaining before me continually, lefanai tamid, as said in the pasuk. The continuation of the Mishnah reveals an opposed view of Rabbi Yosei. Rabbi Yosei omer, afilu eile nutlim ve'elu manichim, af zo hayta tamid. Rabbi Yosei says, even if these took away and those laid down, it also complied with continually. So Rabbi Yosei seems to be implying that the previous view of the Mishnah was taking it a little too far and understanding lefanai tamid in too literal a way. Even if there's a short time, says Rabbi Yosei, between the removal of the old bread and the putting in of the new one, this too is lefanai tamid, is before me continually. So actually this machloket is quite interesting in the Mishnah. These Tanaim are disputing a simple question, but actually an important one. When is something continuous? When do we do lefanai tamid? Does it have to be exact every moment with no interference in the middle? Or if there's a break for a few minutes, says Rabbi Yosei, this also can be lefanai tamid. So interestingly enough, the Talmudic sugya that continues this Mishnah and interprets it seems to have a broader understanding of the dispute, and as I said before, expands the question of the lechem hapanim and the shulchan to a broader issue, which is much more existential for the rabbis of the Talmudic times, more than, regrettably enough, the utensils of the Mishkan. And the issue that they're using this for is the issue of Talmud Torah. And it says the following: Amar Rabbi Ami, מדבריו של רבי יוסי נלמד, אפילו לא שנה אדם אלא פרק אחד שחרית ופרק אחד ערבית, קיים מצוות לא ימוש ספר התורה הזה מפיך. Rabbi Ami said, from these words of Rabbi Yosei, we learn that even though a man learns but one chapter in the morning and one chapter in the evening, he has thereby fulfilled the precept of this book of law shall not depart out of thy mouth. These Amoraim are making an analogy from the Lechem HaPanim to the mitzvah of Limud Torah, on which is said that you should learn this day and night, v'hagita bo yomam v'layla, or lo yamush sefer Torah ze mipicha. This also is a continuous mitzvah that demands never-ending devotion in time, as we know. But Rabbi Ami, and after him Rabbi Yochanan, teaches that even reading the psukim of Shema, reading a chapter in the morning and a chapter in the evening, can also be sufficient for the feeling of learning Torah continuously. And he's basing his view on Rabbi Yosei in the Mishnah, who said a similar thing about the Lechem HaPanim, the bread of the Shulchan. It's actually interesting to see this view, because on one hand it looks like it's minimalizing the mitzvah of Limud Torah to a minimum of, again, saying a few psukim in the morning and a few psukim in the evening. But actually what is being presented here is a way of coping, or even doing in the right way this difficult mitzvah. If you frame your day morning and night with psukim, with learning, then you are doing lefanai tamid. You are learning in a continuous way, because it frames your day in the morning and in the evening, and this is a different way of understanding a continuation of Limud Torah. So actually what's being done here is, besides the fact that the Shulchan Lechem HaPanim is being used as a metaphor for other questions, and in this case the question of continuous learning and how can we fulfill the mitzvah of Limud Torah and having it having it in our full day, it's also bringing up a question of, do we want to minimalize the mitzvah or leave it in this broad sense of v'hagita bo yomam v'layla? The Talmudic discussion then proceeds to an argument on this view that was just presented, and is debating if this should be told to Amei Haaretz. This, what we just learned, that it's enough to learn morning and night, and that is fulfilling the mitzvah of Limud Torah. Should this be told to everyone? Should this be told to the unlearned people, the Amei Haaretz? The Gemara says, "V'davar zeh asur leomro b'fnei am haaretz," and Rava says, "Mitzvah leomro b'fnei am haaretz." We here have a dispute, which is an educational dispute. Is this view of lowering the standards can become, there's a danger of that it will become a legitimate way of neglecting Torah or compromising on it? So maybe it shouldn't be told to those who haven't learned yet. We should higher the standards. We should expect them to learn as much as they can. But Rava is actually presenting a demand to tell people about this compromise, so-called. Rava seems to imply that this would encourage people, or those who otherwise may not join in on this journey or join into this learning of Torah, because they in advance think that they have no chance of really fulfilling the full expectation of continuous learning. So we have here an interesting educational dispute of hiring the standards or lowering them in order to invite more and more people to take part, and also this new perception of what Lefanai Tamid, before me continuously, can mean for us today. I think it's interesting that the Sugya leaves this dispute open and doesn't resolve it, since it's a very difficult question to resolve. So I invite you all to think about this question of before me continuously, how do we fulfill that in our lives as you read Parashat Terumah and as you come to this pasuk on the Shulchan Lechem HaPanim and the words Lefanai Tamid. Shabbat Shalom.